Hello, my name is Patrick Donahue, and I am an amateur gem faceter. Let's go to my studio and I'll show you how to cut a sunstone into a beautiful faceted gem that will stay in your family for generations. This is my studio where we have a Raytech Shaw faceter, and I'm going to carefully select a sunstone. Nope. Totally at random. Perfect. We have here a sort of flat sunstone, clear. I'm going to hold it up to the light to look for flaws. You could go so far as to put mineral oil or something on it, but you know, if you go searching for negativity, it's just going to come to you. So what you don't see can't hurt you. This shape is a little bit elongated this way. There's some low spots and fractures that we have to cut out for sure, but I think this will make a very nice cut stone of a shape. And before we put it on the dop, we have to shape it, get a coarser lap. So this is a 100 to 180, somewhere in there, disc. Stick that on there and fire her up. Put it on there. Oh, water. That's always good to have. Oh, splash pan. Yep, that's got to go up. Okay, now we can make a flat surface on the stone to put our dop on. And I'm going to... okay. Hang on. Almost there. Oh, crap. Happens sometimes. Let's see. Ew, that's kind of gross. Okay. Let's put that on. Right. Splash pan up, definitely. Always do that. Water. Okay. So you can see here, starting to make a flat surface on there. There's a little divot there, but I'm sure that'll cut out. That won't be a problem down the road. And since we have it on here, it might be easiest to pre-shape it a little bit. You know, just kind of eyeball it. You don't really need to worry too much about going too far. The stone will tell you when it's done. Okay. Look at that, we got a nice oval there. That'll be perfect for a square shape cut stone. I think that'll cut really nice. We gotta get rid of some side over here. Watch your thumbs there. Lost a little bit of fingernail. That's okay, it happens. You got 9 more fingernails, right? Okay. That's good to go. Turn that off. Gotta let this spin dry or else it'll rust and you'll have all sorts of problems. But we can just leave that going. Now we have our stone shaped and ready to go. I'm going to put it on a dop, and it's important to have the right dop for the job. This one is almost perfect, but maybe just a little bit too big, so I'll go smaller. That one is smaller than the stone, so it's probably perfect. Put a base of another dop for dopping it up to set on there for the future. And I need to put some wax on here. So let's see. Get things nice and waxed up. What's important is just getting the wax on the dop any way you can. If it smokes a little bit, you know, that's fine. It doesn't, whatever. It happens. There we go, we got some wax on there. Melt that so it sticks to the dop a little bit better. Okay, and then, oh, lost a little bit, that's fine. That's pretty centered. Wait for it to cool, and there we go. It's probably on there good. Do a flick test, okay. Let's try that again. Put that back where it was. Yeah, it still looks good. Melt the wax on there. Sunstones are very heat resistant, so you can do whatever you want to them. Heat them up, melt that wax on there. So we have a concave wax at the surface where it's touching, so that means that it's both heated up nice and it's good contact. Turn that off. There we go. Maybe do a last minute adjustment here. I moved a little bit, I'm sure that's fine. Do a heat test, that's still really hot. Now we're back at the ranch and it's time to load the stone into the faceter here. Let's see, find the notch where the little peg goes. Tighten it up so it stays in there nice and tight. We're going to be cutting the squilliant design by Marco Voltolini, which has a refractive index of 1.54, which is suitable for sunstone. It's got all the directions there. This is freely available from the gemologyproject.com, as well as a lot of other designs by Marco. So we're starting out with a 42.9 degree, let's see, year where I am. So 42, 43, we'll call it good there. And I'm going to start out with a 96 on the index wheel there. And we've got our stone, got our, let's see, get our water going here. Okay. And we just start making a temporary center point. We're grinding away here. I've got a flat spot there where I've just been working. Sunstone's fairly soft, so it goes quick, although this is kind of a bigger stone. Whoops. Okay, we'll just gotta stick that back on there. You know, came off the stone a little bit there. That's okay, we still got a little bit of wax to line up where our failure point was, so we'll go back over to the dopping station and put that back on with some super glue real quick. Super glue comes in handy. Got a little plug here. Maybe that'll release it. Oh, must a little bit more wax there. That's fine. There we go. That's nestled back into place. Hold it there for a few seconds. And now that it's somewhat on there, I'm going to use Instaset. And instead of spraying it, which makes a mess everywhere, I just take off the thing and just make a little dab because it gets the liquid on there. And that should be nice and firm and set. And back to the faceting table. Okay, back to work here. Get some water on. You know what, this is taking too long going like this, so I think we will cut down the size of the stone to a square first before cutting down the center point, so I don't have to cut excess stone that I don't need to, that I'm just going to cut away on the next stage. So we're going down to 90 degrees here on the protractor, plus or minus. Lower this platform, so we're touching this. And for cutting a stone like this, where it's a little bit off shape, you got to start with your closest to the dop side, which is pretty close to 72 here. So this will be 96, 24, 48, 72. That's 96 divided by 4 is the 4 stages, which is Fortunately, pretty close to that flat side. That was lucky. And we'll lower that. Oop. We've got our... We'll have to add in a splash pan. Don't want to be fools and get ourselves wet twice. Okay, get water going again. And we're spraying water all over this area, so put up a splash guard. Just so happen to have one handy. Okay, we've got sort of a flat face there. That might be close. We'll go a little bit more. A fragment of something just hit my arm. Probably nothing to worry about. Okay, so we'll go to 96. And on the edge of the lap here, if you bring the stone just over to the edge, it actually works as kind of a saw where you can go cut down really quick. Okay, back to it here. We'll get some glue back on here and then maybe shore it up with a little more wax, since we're losing a lot of the wax. If I can get some glue out. We fortunately still have a little bit of wax to use as our lining up point. Hold it there for a few seconds and then we'll get a little more wax on there. Still moving. Not sure where we were here. Okay, at this stage, maybe it's better to just start over. Now the rest of this cut in very nicely on the 100 grit disc because I'm such an excellent lapidarist. And now we're going to switch over to the 600 and cut down a little bit to get rid of all those scratches and pits from the 100 grit disc. On the 600 disc, I've cut in the main facets on the pavilion and the girdle. There's a very small amount to cut away still. This will be pretty shallow of a crown. I think I might have just enough room. It looks close enough to me. And I'll just cut in the corners here. I'll cut in from that to there. And on the next size grit, and then add the other recut all the facets again on a 1200 grit disc. Because this stone is small, they should cut in fairly quickly on this. Now I've just finished up on the 1200. Everything cut in perfectly, of course. Zoom in. You can see there's maybe a couple not quite perfect things, I'll have to admit. But, you know, what can you do, you know? Still looks shiny. And so we're just going to switch over to the polish here. Ignore that messy splash pan. Why, you don't need to clean it out. You can see I've already got quite a bit of diamond powder on here. That's what the white stuff is. So probably don't need any more. Maybe just a splash more water here in my tank. And we'll get back to it. Get a little bit of water going on there and then reduce it just a little bit. And it looks like there's a big old scratch running through there. How'd that happen? It looks like something caught maybe on the 1200 disc and left that scratch in the middle of that facet. Take a little while to work that out, I think. But this facet is also the 5th one in the sequence, so we're going to go back to the first one, which is 4290, so just shy of 43 here, and go to 96. And then we'll be doing one of those facets. We're just about done here. I've got 5 facets left on the pavilion to polish up, and each one is generally polishing in about 8 to 12 swipes, depending on how big it is. Somehow some veils did start to form inside the crystal. Who knows how that could have happened. Let's see, I think we're approaching the really scratched up one. Some people polish the girdle, but I skipped it. Sure, it's fine. 87, so this is the last facet. Sunstone polishes really fast, even if you don't have great prep work. Except where there's a big fracture, which is what this facet is. So we're just gonna do what we can to minimize that look there. Overcut it just a little bit. It won't be noticeable by eye, I'm sure. Maybe we'll tweak it just a little bit, bring it over towards that side, and cut in on that corner. Pretty much not noticeable anymore. Go just a little bit more, just because I'm paranoid about it. But you can see, as I'm working, checking every time, and the stone is glowing a nice golden yellow, which is a good sunstone color. It's got a little bit of green tint because of the dop wax underneath it, but I'll put it into freewheel mode here and spin it around for you. And there we go. We've got our pavilion sorted, got probably just enough room for a crown on top with a little bit of girdle. And now it's time to transfer. All right, now it's time to cut the pavilion. Should go quick since it's a shallow, what's left is pretty shallow. But we're starting on the 96 index, and we're just gonna go around all 4 sides. Now I cut in a little bit to see where our stone was lining up, and for some strange reason, it looks like the stone is a little off-center or offset, where we have a really shallow girdle over here, and then on the opposite side, the girdle is much thicker, which means I either have to go over and adjust it on the wax and heat it up a little bit and then tweak it, or I can cheat a little bit and just treat them as 4 separate faces. And actually you can see some of the veils kind of on the inside there, just coming through. Those lines there inside the stone are fractures that form somehow. So that's at about a good thickness, I think, for this stone. The 1200 stage will cut it just a little bit more. Then we'll go on to 48 here. I also just noticed that this wheel was off-center from the 0 point. These knobs adjust the index that way and this way, and so I've been cutting it at a low side this way because I backed this out. So the stone has been offset to some extent that way. And yeah, I need to go in a ways there. And this girdle facet looks like this side is lower than this side, so I'll have to push this up over past the 0 mark and make it offset more that way. I could go over this stone again at the 1200 grit stage, but that seems like a lot of work, so I'll just polish it up on the 50,000 grit diamond and we'll call it good. It should go pretty fast, even with the going from 600 to polish, because sunstone polish is really easy. It'll be it's a little more tough to place facets where I want them, but we'll just have to compromise a little bit. And as you can see, it actually is not turning out too bad. Maybe it's not perfectly perpendicular, but you still get the idea of what it's supposed to look like. Now that we have the stone all polished up, you can see all the faces, winking in the light there. Now we can go over to the dopping station and finish it off. Okay, so now we have to remove the stone from the dop here, and then I'll put it in some rubbing alcohol to get rid of excess wax and glue. So we're just going to get the stone off here, put it over the heat. Some people gradually warm it up, but you know, whatever. Get it nice and warm so that it removes from the dop. There we go. And we'll leave the stone in here for a little while to clear off that wax.